As the first light of dawn graced the small, drowsy town of Lewiston, Idaho, Robert Maloney, a man of few words but many scars, stood before the vast expanse of the Lewiston Mall. His somber eyes, aged with time and hardship, scanned the towering monolith of commerce and excess. Squinting against the rising sun, he could almost pretend the structure was a fortress, a beacon of civilization amidst the wild, open fields. He pushed away the chilling thought that it was anything but. Having vanquished his personal demons, Robert was now a private investigator, wielding his innate empathy as a weapon against the unseen threats of the world. He was in Lewiston on a peculiar assignment to observe a man as inscrutable as the town's atmospheric tranquility. Nathaniel, a religious leader of considerable sway. Inside the mall, amidst the hustle of everyday commerce, he found a table at the small coffee shop, its quiet corner giving him a panoramic view of the main hall. Here, Nathaniel held his daily sermons, infecting the air with a fervor that belied the mundanity of the mall's surroundings. Robert sipped his black coffee, bitter like the memories he'd put behind. He observed the crowd, trying to unravel the invisible threads of connection between them and the charismatic preacher. A voice interrupted his musings. "Can I get you anything else, sir?" A young waitress, her cheerfulness striking a discordant note. "Just some peace and quiet, darling," Robert responded, his gaze never leaving the crowd. She nodded, retreating with a polite smile, leaving him alone with his thoughts. He listened to Nathaniel, the man's words spinning an intricate web around the captivated listeners, their eyes alight with reverence. Yet it wasn't the sermons that bothered Robert. It was a whisper, a hushed murmur that seeped into his consciousness whenever he was near Nathaniel. A phantom breeze that carried alien syllables. "Lost, are you?" A voice tore him from his thoughts, a familiar joviality lacing its tone. Jack, an old friend and the reason Robert was in this peculiar town. "You could say that," Robert replied, his gaze still fixed on Nathaniel. Jack settled into the chair opposite him, following his gaze. Nathaniel does have a certain charm, an allure that seems to stretch beyond the pulpit. "Is it charm, Jack?" Robert mused, his eyes finally meeting his friend's. "Or is it something else entirely?" Jack chuckled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "That's why you're here, Rob, to untangle this knot." A knot, Robert thought, steeped in mystery and whispers of otherworldly forces. And as the sun dipped below the horizon and the neon lights of the mall flickered to life, he knew he was on the precipice of something unfathomable. The evening bled into night. Nathaniel's sermon echoed into silence, but the whisper remained, dancing on the edge of Robert's consciousness. And as he delved deeper into the night, he knew it was just the beginning. The whisper was a call, a siren song leading him further into the nebulous enigma. Tomorrow, he would answer. Days unfurled like tendrils in a vine, each a bit more enigmatic than the last, pulling Robert deeper into the labyrinthine enigma. The air in Lewiston seemed to ripple with an unseen energy, especially within the expansive confines of the mall. It was a buzz that eluded his grasp, an echo of an otherworldly hymn that stirred restlessness in his heart. He continued his pilgrimage to the coffee shop, each visit offering another glimpse into the arcane tapestry that was Nathaniel. The religious leader's sermons grew darker, the sunny optimism giving way to cryptic allusions and tales of cosmic entities. His followers, hypnotized by his charisma, hung onto every word as if they were lifelines thrown into a chaotic sea. One day, as he studied Nathaniel's mesmerizing oration, he noticed Clara, an elderly woman with a frail body, but eyes that burned with an unsettling fervor. Clara, as he learned, was one of Nathaniel's most devoted followers. Her unwavering faith sparked intrigue, prompting Robert to approach her. "Mrs. Clara, is it?" he asked, extending a hand. She studied him, her eyes momentarily flashing with suspicion before warmth replaced it. "Yes, dear. Do I know you?" He smiled. "No, ma'am. I'm Robert. I couldn't help but notice how fond you are of Nathaniel's sermons." Her eyes shone. "Oh, Nathaniel's words are not mere sermons. They're revelations, promises of a world beyond ours." Robert tilted his head. "A world beyond ours?" Clara nodded enthusiastically. Yes, a place of infinite wisdom and love. Nathaniel says he communicates with beings from there. Robert's heart raced. Beings from another world? He echoed, trying to keep his voice steady. Clara patted his hand. I see the skepticism in your eyes, but remember, dear, not everything is visible to the naked eye. Some threads in life's tapestry can only be felt. Her words left a deep imprint on his psyche. That night, his dreams were a whirlpool of alien landscapes, strange constellations, and an oppressive sense of disorientation that mirrored his childhood trauma. He awoke, sweat-drenched and panting, his room bathed in the cold, sterile light of the moon. He could almost hear the faint whisper, much louder in the silence of the night, luring him further into the labyrinth. The day brought with it another revelation. As he delved into the town records, a series of disappearances, all devout followers of Nathaniel, came to light. The cases were old, each one dismissed as an individual deciding to leave town. But to Robert, they were an unnerving pattern, threads in an invisible tapestry that was growing more tangible. Something ancient and foreboding stirred beneath the surface of Lewiston, its tendrils wrapped around the heart of the mall. And as the sun set, casting long, ominous shadows across the town, he knew he was no longer an observer. He was now an intrinsic part of this enigmatic saga, the whisper in his mind a chilling testament to the coming storm. The investigation had transformed, no longer about a religious leader, but about the very fabric of reality itself. As he stepped into the gathering darkness, he steeled himself for the trials that awaited. The invisible threads were now palpable, and he was ready to unravel them. As autumn painted Lewiston in hues of golden amber, Robert's investigation took a darker, more sinister turn. The line between his waking life and the enigmatic dreams blurred, transforming into a surreal dance of reality and hallucination. He was now knee-deep in the abyss, the nebulous enigma not above him, but all around, consuming him bit by bit. One afternoon, he found himself at the town's archives, tracing the history of the Lewiston Mall. Its birth on an old, desolate piece of land bore no significance until he discovered the stories of the indigenous tribe that once inhabited these plains. Stories whispered of celestial visitors and sacred grounds, stories that should have been fantastical, but instead sent a chill down his spine. Late one evening, after hours of sifting through dusty records, he met Joseph, an elder of the tribe, a man whose age seemed to span epochs, his face etched with deep lines of wisdom and sorrow. Their conversation, held under a starlit sky, painted an eerie picture that mirrored Nathaniel's sermons. Joseph's voice, a deep rumble against the silent night, spoke, "Our ancestors believed this land to be sacred, a gateway to the stars. It was meant to remain undisturbed." Robert leaned in, his senses honed on Joseph's words. "And what happens when it's disturbed?" Joseph sighed, his gaze lost in the inky darkness. "The balance tilts. The doorway allows the visitors to enter, to influence." The revelation was like a frigid wind against Robert's sanity, chilling him to the bone. "Influence?" he echoed. Joseph nodded, his eyes finally meeting Robert's. "Yes, not through force, but through belief. Faith. They feed on it." The pieces of the enigmatic puzzle began fitting together, forming a horrifying picture. Nathaniel wasn't a mere preacher. He was a conduit, a medium for an ancient entity from another world. The mall, a bridge between realities, the congregation, not followers but fodder. A sense of dread settled over him, not for his safety, but for the town, for the people who had unknowingly become pawns in a cosmic game. Yet amidst the dread, a spark of defiance ignited within him. He had faced darkness before, endured, survived, thrived even. This time wouldn't be any different. As he bid Joseph farewell, his mind was already forming a plan, one that held no guarantee of success. The night air seemed denser, every rustle of the autumn leaves echoing the whispers that plagued him. The abyss had not only gazed back, but had started to consume. However, he was no longer the lost child or the man battling his addictions. He was the warrior, ready to face the cosmic nightmare. He was the beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. And as the first rays of dawn pierced the night, he knew it was time for a confrontation. The abyss was ready to consume, and he was ready to fight. In the heart of the Lewiston Mall, as the frail light of morning seeped through the grand glass windows, the final act of this cosmic drama unfolded. Robert, guided by the echoes of his nightmares and the whispering wind, arrived to confront Nathaniel. There was an eerie tranquility in the usually bustling halls. The stores, the cafe, all stood silent as if aware of the upcoming confrontation. The mall was no longer a symbol of mundane consumerism. It had transformed into a cathedral where reality seemed to ripple and warp. Nathaniel stood at his usual spot, but the congregation was absent. It was just the two of them, a standoff in the echoing emptiness. Robert walked towards him, his footsteps echoing in the silent hall. "Robert," Nathaniel greeted, his eyes gleaming with an alien fire. "I've been expecting you." "So I presume," Robert responded, his gaze steady. The air thickened, an oppressive heaviness that made it difficult to breathe. Nathaniel's voice, however, cut through it like a scalpel, sharp and terrifying. "You know, don't you?" Robert nodded. "I know what you are, Nathaniel, or rather, what you've allowed yourself to become." Nathaniel smirked, the expression grotesque on his once charismatic face. "And you think you can stop it?" Robert didn't falter. "I have to try." The confrontation that ensued was not of physicality, but of wills. Robert, fueled by the resilience born of his past struggles, faced Nathaniel, a vessel of a timeless entity that craved not domination, but belief. He remembered Clara's words about threads in life's tapestry only being felt. This was his thread, a line of light in the overwhelming darkness. Words were their weapons, truths and convictions their shields. Robert spoke of humanity, of the strength in their spirits, the resilience in their hearts. Nathaniel countered with promises of enlightenment, a utopia beneath an alien star. But amidst the conflict, Robert held on to one truth. He was not alone. His resilience and defiance represented every soul in Lewiston, every person unknowingly caught in this cosmic drama. As the sun reached its zenith, a silent, invisible crescendo was hit. The unseen entity, failing to consume Robert's spirit, recoiled. Nathaniel crumbled to the ground, the alien fire in his eyes extinguished, replaced by fear, and then, understanding. Robert stood alone in the grand hall, victorious yet shaken. The whispering wind had quieted, the oppressive heaviness lifted. He took a deep breath, tasting the sweet, untainted air. Lewiston Mall, once a portal to an alien world, had returned to its mundane reality. The cosmic horror was defeated, not by weapons or violence, but by the human spirit. As he walked away, he felt lighter. The trauma of the past and the horrors faced, now another scar on his soul, a testament to his survival. But this scar was different. It was a scar of victory, a symbol of human resilience against cosmic horrors. And as the sun set, casting an orange glow on the quiet town of Lewiston, he knew he was ready to face whatever came next, one mystery at a time. For in the dance between light and darkness, he had found his place. He was the beacon, the guardian against the cosmic abyss, and he wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it and subscribe to our channel, where you can find more similar stories, and click on the bell icon to never miss one. There is plenty more cosmic horror to come from the Eldritch Tales Factory. Stay tuned, and until next time.